Man, if that's what they look like now, imagine what they're gonna look like when they get the guy who scores all the goals back. I hope Bobby McMahon comes back soon, too. Yeah. What? Let's go!
Do you have a humiliation kit? This is all I ask you to do.
I'm having a great finger flick. You're allowed to show up.
This team is ruining my life. I'm taking crazy pills.
With you, wherever you are, welcome to LFR.
Leafs
Lose 3-1 at the hands of the Washington Capitals.
I'm not used to saying they lose anymore.
You know what I don't like? Here's what I don't like. When I am uncalm, when I am not calm, and I am told to calm down. Don't be that person. Has that ever worked? No! I wasn't calm. You told me to calm down, and now I am decidedly less calm. Listen. Is it a big deal? Is it a big deal that the Leafs lost a regular season game in December? No, suppose not. You win some, you lose some, as they say. But I think the Leafs have a standard. Let me be clear. I hear some of you laughing. It's okay. I don't blame you. Resent you a little. I don't blame you. This year's Leafs have a different standard than in previous years. Yeah, in previous years they've had good regular season teams too, but anyone who's been watching and paying attention knows this year feels a little different. And one thing you can almost never criticize this group for, like over the past month and a bit, is their effort, is their hustle, their work ethic. And they play on Monday against the Chicago Blackhawks, and Chicago's not very good. And the Leafs were also not very good, but the Leafs won. And the Leafs play Wednesday, and it's against the Nashville Predators, who, a little bit more surprisingly, are not very good. But they're definitely not very good. And the Leafs sort of bottled it the first two periods, and then they exploded in the third, and they won. This one, you're playing the Washington Capitals. The Washington Capitals currently lead the Metropolitan Division. They are tied with the New Jersey Devils, who have played 3 more games than the Capitals, so the Caps are in first. And when you don't play your best game, when you take forever to get to 20 shots, which they did against Nashville as well, by the way, you are not going to beat the best teams in the league on most nights. The Washington Capitals, by the standings, are one of the best teams in the league. And you know what? Let me throw this out there. By the standings, the Toronto Maple Leafs are one of the best teams in the league. And even though this week so far they have a 2-1 record, this game and the game before it and the game before it have fallen below the standard the Leafs have set for this season. That's not a Toronto fan being an overreactive Toronto fan. That's not the Toronto media being the Toronto media. Take this from Chris Tanev. After the game, Jesse Blake was there, and he reported Tanev was asked about his pass to John Tavares. His response, "Who cares? We lost." Okay, I would like to say something. And are there any youth hockey players in the room? Okay, so I'm going to talk to you here. He shouldn't have said that. You know, you got to take, you're not going to win them all. You got to take pride in the good things that you do. And Chris Tanev should be very proud of himself for his performance. Okay, can all the youth hockey players cover their ears? I just want to talk to your parents now. That rules, right? Like that's awesome. No, like it's not the healthiest, but no, it kind of rules. Please definitely keep that energy forever. Okay, now everyone can listen again. Now, while it is true that the Leafs fell below their standard in this game, there's also an air of they got jobbed. The whistle was bad for the Leafs in this game. The whistle got worse for the Leafs as the game went on. Did you notice how the Capitals did nothing untoward ever? There was no hook. There was no trip. There was no nothing. Meanwhile, Nick Robertson is called for a cross-check that is a cross-check that happens 40 times a night. If a ref called that in the playoffs, I think the league would fine them. Not the player, the ref. Hey Tom, I hope you're enjoying your time as an NHL ref in the Stanley Cup playoffs. I noticed it's game 3 of the series you've been assigned to, and no player on either team has a full set of broken ribs yet. Yeah, no, that's correct. Okay, great. So you're fired, and the Ekman-Larsson slash on Jacob Chikrin, it's becoming a meme. Oliver! You are not in Florida anymore. They call those. Like, dude, there's two kinds of surprise, right? Because there's two defensemen on this team, left-handed defensemen, who kind of take a lot of penalties. Simone Benoit takes a lot of penalties, and when he does, the eyes go wide, the eyebrows go up, and he's just like, whoa. And he shakes his head like rhythmically. That's how you know it's rehearsed and he's just doing it out of habit. When Oliver Ekman-Larsson is called for a penalty, no one's that good of an actor. No one. He is always genuinely shocked. Which, I mean, you spend one season with Paul Maurice and it rubs off on you. The eyebrows goes down. What? Like, he can't believe it. Every time Ekman-Larsson gets a penalty, he looks at the ref like he's seeing them again for the first time. Every time Oliver Ekman-Larsson takes a penalty with the Leafs, he looks at the ref like William Wallace when he's betrayed in Braveheart, and the ref is Robert the Bruce. How could you? Yeah, no, you're in Toronto now, man. Sorry. So why are you mad about this game? Well, you can pick, or do what I do. I prefer to do this. Both reasons. They weren't good enough, and they kind of got jobbed. I haven't even mentioned the part where the ref kicked the puck in the front of the net. If you're a goaltender, 10 the goal. If you're a referee, refer to a famous ludicrous song! Not What's Your Fantasy, that'd be weird, the other one. There were only 3 goals in this game that were scored on a goalie. Let's talk about them. We have to start in the second period. Mike Johnston was talking about this. The first goal is kind of on Nick Robertson. It's a line of Fraser Minton, who got here 5 minutes ago. He is an infant baby. Steven Lorentz, and Nick Robertson. And I guess what's concerning about this, mistakes are going to happen. Robertson is like trying to direct traffic with Minton. And you can see here, it's just easier to visualize on the NHL Edge goal visualizer rather than through screenshots. Robertson doesn't get to the boards quickly enough to stop the puck from getting to Jensen. This is a very preventable play. Now, it's well executed and everything by the Washington Capitals. They throw it on from the point. Nick Dowd gets a great tip to beat Anthony Stolarz. It's a great goal. But it's one born from the puck just being rung around the boards and there being no player present there to A, get the puck, or B, put enough pressure on the point. So it goes in and it's 1-0 Washington. This game was always going to be close. You know the saying, they don't ask how, they ask how many? That only really applies to wins. That only really applies to goals for. Goals against, they very much ask how. And here's the thing. I'm not going to hammer Robbie for the cross-check penalty, although, I don't know. It's not a great call. It's not a great call. I'm not going to trash him for it. It's not a great call. 2 minutes from this game. This one, in the defensive zone, dude, you're just not ready. The second one, you have a 2-on-1 with John Tavares, and you pass it way offside. Like, way. Not even close. And of course it's whistled offside. The play is dead, and you see, like all that swagger that I was telling you about, all by Nick Robertson stock, that sick goal that he scored on Andrei Vasilevsky, gone. It's all gone. So that's your trade, right? Your trade is goal scoring. Well, that's not going great, right? As illustrated with that play. And then on the defensive side of the puck, what are you doing? This is how he stayed in the lineup. His hustle, his heart, he's not going to be denied. And like a boatload of injury, like an unbelievable amount of injuries. Either of these plays is reason to sit this guy. Having both of them in the same game, in a tight game that you lost. The next player back in the lineup, Robertson might sit, like, ahead of Grabenkin, ahead of Minton. Like, Alex Nylander is sitting right now. You could honestly make the argument that no one could come back next game, which is tomorrow, by the way, and Nylander should be in over Robertson. I know he hasn't really been able to score all season. You somewhat tolerate it when you're even. Right? You're just even. Yeah, it's a lot of cardio out there, but you assume, it'll turn around. But when plays like those two start happening, you're like, all right, yeah, 2 goals is kind of messed up. And I think Craig Berube is thinking the same thing because Robertson played .935 in this game, which is a season low. It's the first game all season where Robertson failed to play at least 10 minutes. It was also a season low in shifts. He had just 12. November 20th against Vegas, he only had 14, but after that, 23, 19, 17, 16, 16, 12. You see the trend? You see how it's not up? I don't want to pick on the kid. I want him to do well. I want him to do well here. He's not leaving the team with much choice, and he's running out of time. He might have already run out. And when the depth guys aren't scoring, it's up to the core guys to do something stupid, ridiculous again. Enter John Tavares. And that says Chris Tanev. This is where Chris Tanev passed the puck from. That's his own zone. Here's a blurred image of John Tavares receiving the puck, and the Washington Capitals looking like the panicked Mr. Krabs meme. Here's an image of how hilariously on his own John Tavares was. This was not a partial breakaway, this was basically an in-game shootout. Filthy mitts, he snipes it backhand. Steve, thanks for the backhanded compliment. Oh, John, quit clowning around, would ya? His ridiculous season continues and the game is tied, and it remains tied. Fairly boring game, but tied. Probably gonna go to overtime, right? Is it gonna go to overtime? This play, with Austin Matthews having the puck in the corner in his own zone, is completely harmless. Nothing should happen here. The Capitals are not in a dangerous position. He's just gonna fling it around to a friend wearing a blue jersey, and it's gonna be okay. I worked at the Toronto Zoo for 7 years, and I saw a lot in my time, but I never saw a zebra pretend to be a flamingo. Ref kicks the puck in front of the Leafs net, and pick your poison. Pierre-Luc Dubois there, Connor McMichael's there, and McMichael is unstoppable this year. If you play fantasy hockey or watch a ton of Washington Capitals games, you already know that. The kid can't stop. The former Ajax Pickering Raider, as they said on the broadcast. But I would like to issue a correction. He's not a former Ajax Pickering Raider. Because once a Raider, always a Raider, and I was proud and mad at the same time. Mostly mad. Like you sort of go, oh! And the Capitals score, and the Leafs can't. And Charlie Lindgren robs John Tavares, and the Leafs lose. And gee, I wonder what everyone wants to talk about. Questions. Rye guy. Bounces off refs really shouldn't count. What happens if something like that is the Game 7 Cup winner? I'll do you one better. What happens if something like that decides the gold medal at the Olympics? Oh wait, that happened in Canada's favor. That's what happened on the golden goal. Sidney Crosby, Drew McGinley, a lot of people forget. Puck hits the ref's feet, one guy gets away from another, and it's history. Now, I am not saying that that's a cheap goal or it shouldn't have counted. The ref is part of the play. In terms of how the puck's concerned, a ref is basically like a stanchion. The puck can hit them, and if it hits them, it hits them. The only difference is if a puck hits a ref and goes directly into the net, then it's no goal. But this is a player ringing the puck around or trying to, and it goes in front, and it doesn't go straight in, and the Capitals shoot it, and they score. It's a good goal. Sucks a lot, but it's a good goal. And hilariously, this comes one game after. On Wednesday, Mitch Marner had an empty net. He had an empty net to shoot at to ice the game against Nashville. It's a 1-goal game with about a minute left. He goes to backhand it in. Ref's in the way! Blocks the shot! There is an alternate universe where the Nashville Predators go the other way after that, tie the game up, and then this game happens anyway, and we all riot. And still, both would be legal goals. It sucks, but it happens. Zachary, refereeing is such a difficult job. How come they're at their worst against the Leafs? Feels like every game now. I'm complaining about the officiating. Hot take that no Leaf fan is going to want to hear today. They've been okay this year. Fine. They've been fine. I tell you what, my complaints about the refs have changed compared to last year and earlier in Keefe's tenure. My complaint used to be, hey, look at the other team and the things they're doing. Why aren't you calling any of the things? And they definitely did some of that tonight. There were at least a couple things in the back half of the game you could have called on the Capitals. Like, there were at least a couple calls you could have called against the Capitals. Like, soft calls, all right, you're going to call those against the Leafs. Let's keep the parade to the box going then. My complaint this year under Craig Berube is not, hey, you should have called that. It's more, hey, that call on the Leafs was soft. And in November, December, that's frustrating. But the hope, the logic is that once the playoffs arrive and the rules change, you have already been playing within those rules for months. That's basically how Craig Berube won the 2019 Stanley Cup. Like, people don't talk about that. If I remember correctly, the Blues took 8 penalties in each of the first 2 games of the Stanley Cup final. And after game 2, Craig Berube went, hey, come on, basically. Like, not enough to get fined, but hey, come on. And then they won. Guess what they did? They stopped calling him. That's the kind of coach Craig Berube is, by the way. He wants a series with the whistles away against Boston. A Boston team that still had Chara, by the way. Is Spencer Carbery the front runner for the Jack Adams right now? It's great to see Spencer Carbery getting success. This was kind of inevitable. He did so well with the Leafs power play that wasn't great before him and has not been great after him. He oversaw the power play the one playoff series that it was good and the Leafs won. The Jack Adams is a weird thing because it's either the John Cooper Jack Adams, which is, hey, your team won everything. Jim Montgomery as well. Here you go. But very often the Jack Adams is the, hey, we thought you'd stink and you don't stink, so here's the Jack Adams. And I'm looking at the Capitals like anyone paying attention knew they wouldn't stink. Dude, they had a great offseason, I thought. But are they overachieving? Maybe. They're overachieving expectations, at very least, from most people. I think people thought they'd be in the mix. They'd be in the playoffs. They wouldn't be leading the division. This is a good team, man. Carbery deserves the love. We'll end with this. It's more of a conversation. So Robertson needs to sit. Not sure who you'd bring up in the meantime, but man, the whole Tram team, I think, struggled tonight, but he was noticeably bad. Patches may be back tomorrow, so if it's my call, Robbie sits, unfortunately. If not him, Grabenkin. Love the guy, but he was not effective in any way tonight. The argument to send Grabenkin down makes some sense because, he's playing on the fourth line right now, and a fourth line that's not being used all that much. But every time the Leafs fourth line is out there, no matter who's on it, they play like a fourth line. That's been the third line's problem. The first line looks like a first line, and the second line looks like a second line. The third line is there, and then the fourth line looks like a fourth line. And the criticism of Nick Robertson is he hasn't been doing anything. In the few games that he played with the Leafs, Alex Nylander didn't do anything. And do you want Robertson on the fourth line? Not really. So if Pacioretty comes back, he goes into the top six, I assume. Pontus Holmberg comes down, I assume. Or at very least, you put Pacioretty in Robertson's spot. Holmberg stays on the second line. And then who do you want on your fourth line? Oh, I'll take Reeves out. Reeves plays like a fourth liner. Dewar plays center. So it's Grabenkin or Reeves. There's an argument to be made that you could do a skilled fourth line of Grabenkin on the left and Dewar and Robertson on the right. It's the Penguins, right? You don't expect it to be a particularly physical matchup. I guess you never know. Not physical, chippy. You know what I mean? The trend is there for Robertson. The under 10 minutes. Put it this way, if you're not going to play Nick Robertson over Nikita Grabenkin, it's time. So, what do you think? If Pacioretty comes back, what is your lineup for tomorrow night? Let me know in the comment box down below. For now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really like to. Tell all your friends. I'm smiling because I'm going to see you in Ottawa tomorrow at the Indigo Pinecrest. I can't wait. It's been a while, Ottawa.